Welcome everyone, I'm Dale and this is Cinema Historia. A stagecoach, 9 restless passengers, and hostile territory, dead ahead. This week we're going back to 1939 for an American Western film called Stagecoach, starring Claire Trevor, John Wayne, Andy Devine, John Carradine, Thomas Mitchell, Louise Platt, and Donald Meek. And this is directed by John Ford. So where does our story begin this week? Well, our story begins in June of 1880. A group of strangers boards the stagecoach from Tonto, Arizona Territory to Lordsburg, New Mexico. Among them are Dallas, a call girl being driven out of town, played by Claire Trevor, the alcoholic Doc Boone, played by Thomas Mitchell, pregnant Lucy Mallory, who was traveling to join her cavalry officer husband, played by Louise Platt, and whiskey salesman Samuel Peacock, played by Donald Meek. Buck, the stagecoach driver, is told by Marshal Curly Wilcox that his shotgun guard is searching for the Ringo Kid. Ringo, played by John Wayne, has broken out of prison after hearing that his father and brother were murdered by Luke Plummer. Buck tells the marshal that Ringo is heading for Lordsburg. Knowing that Ringo has vowed vengeance, the marshal decides to ride the stagecoach as guard. As the stagecoach sets out, U.S. Cavalry Lieutenant Blanchard announces that Geronimo and his Apaches are on the warpath. Decided that the small cavalry troop will provide an escort to Dry Fork, they pick up 2 more passengers, Hatfield, a Southern gambler played by John Carradine, and banker Henry Gatewood, escaping town with embezzled money. After leaving, further down the road, the stagecoach comes across the Ringo Kid, stranded when his horse became ill. Though the marshal and Ringo are friends, he takes Ringo into custody and crowds him into the stagecoach. When they reach Dry Fork, they learn that the cavalry has new orders to detach and head to Apache Wells. Hatfield wants to help, revealing that he has served in the Confederate Army and would be a good shot if given a pistol. But with no cavalry protection, Buck wants to turn back, but unfortunately most of the party votes to proceed. So does pregnant Lucy Mallory delay their dangerous journey? Is Geronimo and his Apaches still on the warpath? And does an escaped prisoner prove his worth? Based on a 1937 story in Collier's magazine, The Stage to Lordsburg by Ernest Haycox. This film was deemed culturally and historically significant by the United States Library of Congress in 1995 and selected for preservation in their National Film Registry. A 100% rating from the film critic Rotten Tomatoes, the film that made John Wayne a star 9 years after the failure of The Big Trail in 1930. This film received 5 nominations, winning 2 Oscars. A 1940 Oscar winner for Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Thomas Mitchell, a 1940 Oscar win for Best Music and Scoring, and a 1939 award from the New York Film Critics Circle for Best Director for John Ford. And I have 2 trivia questions this week. Did someone watch this film several times in preparation for another film? And was something worn in this film that was worn again in several other films? So, a little more history and the answer to our trivia questions coming up next. Now, since our film is titled Stagecoach, I thought it might be interesting to talk about a stagecoach company that used to be in my area. But first, it's believed that the first stagecoach service in Ontario was established in 1787 between Queenston and Fort Erie. Settlement on the north shore of Lake Ontario developed considerably in 1817 as a route between Montreal and Kingston was established, and the following year it was extended from Kingston to York, which is now Toronto. Developed in England in the 17th century, Canada's stagecoach use included regular services for passengers and mail being run between all major cities and towns and into the United States. Probably the most successful stagecoach operator in Canada was William Weller of Cobourg, Ontario. Born in Vermont in 1799, Weller moved to Canada with his father and soon became involved in stagecoaches, plus serving several times as the head of the police board and in 1850 becoming the Cobourg mayor. William Weller's coach lines served the growing communities along the St. Lawrence River and Lake Ontario. Thanks to Weller's enterprise, there was employment for many skilled and unskilled in the operation and maintenance of his business. There were as many as 400 employees when the Weller lines were at the peak of their prosperity. When the proprietor moved his headquarters from Toronto to Cobourg in the 1840s, Cobourg enjoyed many new benefits. Coaches were built in a Weller shop at George and Orange Street and were considered very high quality. And the photos you're looking at are from a map from 1874 showing George and Orange Streets and what it looks like today. And did the Weller line have a journey similar to the one in our film? Yes. In February of 1849, Governor General C. Poulett Thomson wanted to be taken from Toronto to Montreal in 38 hours. A journey normally taking 4.5 days, but needing to reprieve a convicted felon, Weller said it would be done if he drove the coach himself. A friend wagered 1,000 pounds that he could not do it in time, and Weller took the bet. I guess Geronimo missed this one because 35 hours and 40 days after leaving Toronto, they arrived in Montreal. Happy but exhausted, His Excellency paid Weller 100 pounds for his fare and as a bonus, an engraved gold watch. And on his return, Weller of course picked up the 1,000-pound wager. Pretty interesting. And the answer to our trivia questions this week: did someone watch this film several times in preparation for another film? Yes, and another big star, Orson Welles. Yes, Orson Welles states a textbook in filmmaking that he watched 40 times in preparation for making Citizen Kane in 1941. And was something worn in this film that was worn again in several other films? Yes, the hat that John Wayne wears was his own. He would wear it in many westerns during the next 2 decades before retiring it after Rio Bravo in 1959 because it was just falling apart. After that, the hat was displayed under glass in his home. Interesting. And a big thank you goes out to the Sifton-Cook Heritage Centre in Cobourg, Ontario for their help in making this video possible. I highly recommend going there. They're open from Victoria Day to Thanksgiving. There's lots to see, including a working model train. Go to cobourgmuseum.ca for more information. And a big thank you goes out to my viewers and subscribers. And if you like this video, will you please help my journey along the way and subscribe? I gotta go. The Stagecoach has another pickup. Who wonder who this passenger could be. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope to see you back next week.
On it! Whoa, steady, ho, ho. Hey, look, it's Ringo. Yeah. Hello, kid.
Hello, Curly.